Hey everyone, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about this little guy. We are talking about my experience with tretinoin. When I let you guys know around 3 months ago, was it 3 months ago? I don't know, does time even exist anymore in quarantine? But I think it was around 3 months ago I started tretinoin and I let you guys know. And so many of you reached back out with a lot of questions, recommendations, and just asking my overall experience with Retinol. So in today's video, I'm going to give you kind of like the who, what, when, where, why I wanted to start tretinoin, but also sort of my tips that I can give you for starting tretinoin, because the first few months are definitely a transitionary period. So I wanted to make this video to help you guys and hopefully give you my best tips and advice that I can give you for starting it. So if you do find today's video helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up before you go. And of course, if you find me tolerable, I would love to have you back. So make sure to subscribe as well. So starting off with, what is tretinoin? If you have no idea what it is, tretinoin is actually the generic version of Retin-A, and Retin-A is a vitamin A derivative. As a whole, retinoids work to help promote the cell's turnover, to bring healthier and basically new cells to the surface of our skin. Retinoids are basically the gold standard in anti-aging. They're also incredibly useful for acne. It was actually first formulated as a treatment for acne. Many patients were noticing that their fine lines and their wrinkles, post-acne marks, all of these were fading and their skin was just looking a lot better. But even though this is the gold standard product, it's one that dermatologists have recommended for so many years, the downside to using a retinoid product is that it can be quite irritating. And being someone with dry skin, that's something that I was very much aware of when I first started. The first tip that I would have when starting a retinoid is to get a silk pillowcase. And this portion of the video is actually sponsored by Lily Silk. So thank you so much to Lily Silk, and also thank you to you guys, because I know that I wouldn't be able to even get a sponsorship without your help. So I really appreciate it. So like I mentioned, tretinoin retinoids can be very irritating on the skin because it's basically irritating the skin into producing new skin cells. You can get dry skin, flaky skin, and just irritated skin as a whole. The reason why I recommend using a silk pillowcase if you are starting tretinoin is that one, it actually keeps your skin more hydrated, and two, it actually helps reduce irritation. Cotton or other like synthetic fabrics can actually pull water out from your skin and further dehydrate the skin. So again, being someone with dry skin and also being on tretinoin, that is just not what I'm here for. So these other fabrics can actually hold on to water, even from your hair as well. I'm sure you guys have heard that silk pillowcases are great for the hair, and that is one reason why they are. I actually told my hairstylist when I went in for my first haircut of quarantine, and I told her I was using a silk pillowcase, and she was so proud of me because she tells all of her clients to, and a lot of them don't, but they really help to defrizz the hair. There are a ton of different options too. If you go onto the site, there are a lot of different colors to choose from, really pretty colors. And they also do offer silk bonnets if you prefer to use a bonnet. I prefer to just use a pillowcase because first and foremost, I'm more concerned about how it's going to help my skin, and using it for a pillowcase is kind of like an all-in-one product for me. And I'm pretty sure if you use my link down below, you do get a discount. I don't get anything back from it, but I do think they give you a special discount using it. These silk pillowcases are 100% mulberry silk, incredibly soft, very good quality. Because they're so soft, it also causes less friction to the skin, which makes using a silk pillowcase a lot less irritating to the skin. I will actually insert a picture of what my face looked like after I had slept on a quilted pillowcase. You could literally see every single square of the quilt on my face. And listen, I'm just never going to be the person to sleep on my back. I am 100% a side sleeper. When you're sleeping on one of the silk pillowcases, because they're so soft, you get a lot less friction, but also it keeps you a lot cooler. And I don't know about you, but I love a cold pillow, and a really hot pillow can actually cause further irritation to your skin, especially if you have eczema. If your skin gets too hot, it can cause an eczema flare up. So I have to say that has been a really great bonus, is that I'm not feeling like suffocated and too warm by the pillow because I have this case on it. They also have other silk products, like they have these really pretty silk scrunchies, which if I'm being honest, I just like them because they're really cute, but they are also better for the hair because they are wrapped in silk. They will help with hair breakage. And then I'm also wearing one of their silk camisoles, which is like my favorite sort of wardrobe staple for the summer. There's nothing like more effortlessly chic than just like a silk camisole. So yeah, I love all of the products, especially the silk pillowcase, just because I've noticed that my skin is in better condition having used it. So again, thanks to Lily Silk for sponsoring this portion of the video, and let's get into some of my other tips. My second tip, which is going to feel a little bit obvious, is start slow. There is no reason why you need to go into using a product like this every single night. I'm sure there are some people that can tolerate it very quickly, but if you do have more dry or sensitive skin like I do, there's just no reason to use this every single night. Some people say use it every other night. Some people say every 2 nights. Building up to using it every night is going to drastically cut down on irritation in this sort of transition period when getting on a retinoid. You have to keep in mind that retinoids are really like retraining the skin into acting properly. It's bringing clogged pores to the surface, getting all of your cells to a healthier place. So there's just going to be that period where your skin is just like trying to figure things out. So work your way up. It's definitely a marathon and not a race with a retinoid. It will still be efficacious if you are using it every other night. It's just going to take a little bit longer to get results, but in the long run, you're probably going to be better off. Something I think people might not know about me is the whole reason I got into beauty wasn't actually makeup. I actually first got very into skincare, and you might notice in my makeup approach as well is that I have a very skin-focused makeup approach because as a whole, I just take more of a skin-focused route to my beauty routine. Skin health and skincare is very important to me and is pretty much fundamental in my routine. Once you take care of your skin and you take a skin first approach, I feel like your makeup routine kind of falls into place a lot easier. That is certainly my approach, and that is why retinoids were put onto my radar quite a long time ago, but I was always told that I was too young to start one, which is not the case. Early to mid-20s is completely fine to start a retinoid, especially because the benefits of this product aren't just anti-aging. It can help with acne. It can actually help prevent skin cancer, which we'll talk about later. The third tip I have is to actually apply a moisturizer before you go in with a product. There are definitely a lot of recommendations out there to completely wash the face, wait for the skin to completely dry, and then apply a tretinoin. But personally, when you are washing your face and you have no moisturizer on, your skin barrier is especially vulnerable. So if you have more dry skin, doing that can cause like irritation very, very quickly. And I noticed that when I was starting. What I recommend is washing your face, making sure that you're getting every stitch of makeup off. That's very important. Applying a moisturizer all over the face and then waiting about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the moisturizer, to really make sure that it sinks into the skin, and then apply the Retin-A over it. I have even seen some people that mix in their Retin-A with a moisturizer, which I have not done, but I have heard that people have had a good experience with that as well. And personally, what I like to do is just apply a moisturizer straight to the face, especially because I can make sure to take care of very sensitive areas like under the eyes, around the nose, around the mouth, and these areas can tend to be a little bit more sensitive. So that brings me to my next tip. Tip number 4, make sure to protect these areas, especially the lips. Now, I have chronically dry lips already. In the winter, it is kind of insane of how like cracked and dry my lips get. So point being, learn from me. There definitely were some nights where I was not applying a lip balm liberally to my lips. I definitely recommend doing that before you even go in with a Retin-A. And I also recommend really moisturizing areas like around your nose, around the eyes. And by the way, don't even get the Retin-A near these areas. I would not take the Retin-A closer than here or around here, especially around the eyes. Getting Retin-A in your eyes is not a good thing. It is not a fun time. So again, make sure to really hydrate these areas while also avoiding these areas when you go in with the product. Next, let's talk about sunscreen, because I know a lot of you have probably heard over and over again, wear sunscreen when you are using a retinoid, and that is very true for a lot of different reasons. One, retinoids are basically thinning the skin. When you are thinning the skin, it's actually way more vulnerable to ultraviolet rays. You can get a lot more damage to the skin for this reason. You're way more likely to get a sunburn. So really being diligent about sunscreen is very important. And also keep in mind the whole reason why a lot of people start Retin-A. Retin-A has such an amazing ability to be an anti-aging powerhouse. It is proved to reverse photoaging, it's proved to reverse dark spots and fine lines and wrinkles. So remember that the whole reason why we have a lot of these things is because of sun exposure. So if we aren't taking the time to use a sunscreen diligently, we're kind of just undoing what the Retin-A is trying to do, and you're not going to get the same results. It is also chemo preventative, which basically means it can help stop skin cancer from forming in the future. So if you really want to get all of the amazing skin benefits from this product, you have to be willing to put in the work with your sun care routine. The next tip I would have is to not go into it all at once. The one area I really wanted to target my tretinoin with is my neck and my chest. I wanted to make sure that when I was incorporating this into my routine, that I wasn't neglecting those areas. But like I said, it is a marathon, not a race. I don't recommend going into the neck right away. I think you should start to build up to using it on the neck and chest, getting the hang of it on the face, and knowing what to predict with this area will make you a lot more successful in going down to the neck and to the chest. Honestly, right now, I kind of just take the excess of the retinol that I have and put it down onto my neck and chest. The neck is quite prone to irritation from tretinoin. So again, build your way up. And again, make sure that you're using sunscreen when you are using it on the neck and just, as a whole in general. And the next tip that I have is to not let the purge stage scare you. I have struggled with hormonal acne for really as long as I can remember, but I tend to break out pretty heavily around my chin. I get very cystic breakouts, and it's not that I'm getting a lot of pimples, it's that I will get one pimple because of my period, and then I just have this one deep cystic breakout that I'm dealing with for such a long time. I'm kind of just waiting to let it heal itself. That was a really huge reason why I went on Retin-A, because I wanted to see if it could help facilitate getting my skin to a healthier place in terms of my acne. And I'm telling you, it 100% has. Do I think that purging is a thing that I did experience? Yes, I do think I had some mild purging, but if I'm being honest, like now I wake up in the morning half the time and I'm dealing with some slight irritation here and there, some spots that might be a little bit more itchy. I definitely still get some flakes here and there, but I'm not breaking out anymore. I do occasionally break out, but I'm telling you, I haven't had like a deep cystic breakout, I think, for 2 months. And that's kind of unheard of, knock on wood, but it's working really, really well at managing my acne, which is also important in managing dark spots and hyperpigmentation on the skin. You really want to make sure that you have your acne under control first before you go and target those things. So this is kind of like an all-in-one sort of product. It's going to help get your acne under control. And then once you are dealing with a post-acne mark, it will also help to fade that as well. So really an incredible, incredible product. My next tip would be to think about starting with a retinol before you go straight in with a retinoid. I actually started on Luna about 3 years ago, and that was one of the only retinol products that didn't irritate my skin. Using a retinol product housed in an oil is also a really good way to get your skin used to a retinol and then maybe building up into a prescription strength. Over-the-counter retinols and just, retinol products you can get at Sephora were very helpful in getting my acne under control, but it is a little bit like comparing apples to oranges. A retinol isn't active. It's not in its active state and ready to be received by the skin. It still has to be converted, which means that it's just not as effective as a prescription. But there are still a lot of amazing benefits. Just general brightening definitely helps with my hormonal acne. And on the nights when I don't want to use my retinoid, I will go in with a retinol oil. and I found that that has been really helpful in combination with it. You might also consider looking at an adapalene product, because adapalene was originally only available in a prescription and now you can't get it over the counter. And it is a retinoid in its active state, so that is also something that you could look into. And my last tip, and this can also be just taken as like a general skincare tip, is that simple is always best. Going with a really straightforward skincare routine is probably going to work a lot better for your skin than jumping around with a bunch of different products. I'm going to be releasing my entire nighttime skincare routine for you guys very shortly, and I also will leave my morning skincare routine linked down below because I did that pretty recently. Going with simple, scientifically proved ingredients are always the best way to go. I definitely recommend a straightforward routine when you're dealing with a retinoid. I personally did the same thing and my skin got better. Your skin is already kind of going through it in this transitionary period. You can work the actives back into your skincare routine, but you're just going to cause more irritation if you go in with like an AHA toner and then a retinoid and then a vitamin C in the morning and then a night cream with retinol. Like, just keep it very simple. Skin tends to respond better to simple. Going with basics that I know work, ingredients that I trust like ceramides, niacinamide. Please not only start slow, but make sure that you aren't using a ton of actives when starting. Down the road, you know, using a vitamin C serum in the morning and then a retinoid at night could actually be incredible for your skin. But at this moment, it's probably best to just keep it simple. So I hope that you guys found today's video helpful. And if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions down below because I'm always happy to help. Thank you again to Lily Silk for sponsoring a portion of today's video. And I will hopefully see you in my next one, guys.